Yo, minasan, konnichiwa. Ninja Eddie here with another game review. Now check it out. Something just went down. It all started when Master Hero came to complete my training.
Are you Ninja Eddie?
Yes, I am. What do you want?
Your life.
What's your name?
I'm Cuchillo.
That's it? You're called Knife?
It sounds better in Spanish.
Why are you wearing a mask?
You know, you ask too many questions. I have a proposition for you. If you could win any game of my choice, I will spare you your life.
Name the game.
Have you ever played a game called Ghost Chaser Densei on the Super Famicom?
No, I haven't. Let's check.
Wait. Shouldn't you change? You've been wearing the same thing.
Do you want to move in or something? Let's check it out. Ghost Chaser Densei is an arcade beat-em-up for the Super Famicom that was only released in Japan. It is the home port of the arcade beat-em-up Denjin Makai. It was published by Banpresto, who is one of the largest toy manufacturers in Japan, and developed by Winkysoft. Winkysoft is a small developing company that has developed most of their games exclusively for Japan. Most of their notable games are Denjin Makai, Super Robot Wars, Transformers for the PS2, and The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Now that is one game I need to review in the distant future. The company went out of business in 2015. The game itself takes place in 2079. The country is controlled by the supercomputer that would ultimately stop all crimes and create a safe environment. The name ghosts are given to the criminals that are not found on the database by the supercomputer. These ghosts are causing chaos in the city. The government has set up a special force called Ghost Chaser to stop the ghost terrorists, hence the name Ghost Chaser Densei. You have the options of picking 3 characters, Makai, Iyo, and Belva. Makai is the most well-rounded character, having average speed and strength. Iyo is the fastest one of the 3 but lacks power. Belva is the robot that has the most strength but lacks speed. One thing I do love about this game is that this is not one of those mashing button contests. This really requires some skills to master if you want to get ahead. You can block him in this game, which is a rarity in beat 'em up games. The controls are pretty basic. B is to attack, A is to jump, and B and A will perform a special attack. Pressing down and attack will block. You have 1 life and 6 continues. You have a blue life meter that will drain with any damage you take, and you also have a special red bar that measures how much power you have to perform a special attack. One thing they did get it right in this game is that when you use your special, you do not drain your health bar. In my experiences playing other beat 'em up games, this is not the case, so I definitely have to give them props for that. The names of all the enemies are generic and uncreative. They all have their own special attacks and don't really have anything unique, but I must say, I would call this game a mix of what would happen if Street Fighter 2 met Final Fight. Now hear me out. Use your imagination as I explain to you why I say that. Some characters in the game closely resemble Street Fighter 2. For example, the main character Makai can do Hadouken! You have Blanca, who does electrical charges. You have tall guys that resemble Sagat. This girl with an iron claw is definitely Vega. The fat guys remind me of E Honda's attacks. And you have a wrestler for a boss that can be Zangief. This is an example of what was going on in my head as I played this game. Another thing I did love about this game is the level of difficulty. It gradually gets harder and harder as you progress. The learning curve in this game is manageable, and by the time you reach the higher level, you already should be good at this game. The game has only 5 levels, but they are pretty long, so it feels more than 5 levels. It actually feels probably like 8 to 9 levels. It's not a bad game. It's pretty fun. I just don't understand. I don't understand why you're trying to kill me.
Maybe you should ask him.
You must be Ninja Eddie. I've heard so much about you. It's a shame that I must kill such a good gamer. But if you are not with me, you are against me.
Against you? I don't even know who you are.
Where are my manners? I am Lord Triton. I come from another world not known to yours. In my world, video games are not games. We play for keeps. If you win, you get fortune and glory. If you lose, you die.
What does that have to do with me?
It has everything to do with you. Do you think it was mere coincidence that your grandson and the pathetic master hero came to visit you? We tracked them to this time, to this date, to this place. Now that you have accepted the challenge, finish the game. Or die trying.
I still don't get it.
What is so difficult to understand? If you win, you live. If you lose, you die.
Overall, it is a pretty good game, but not without its flaws. As I said earlier, the ability to block is what makes this game very good. But the controls are a bit stiff. The buttons are very responsive and are smooth, but the control D-pad controls are very stiff. You sometimes feel as you're walking on sand with weights on. The characters respond very slowly to the controls. It's something you get used to right away, but it will get frustrating at the times when the levels begin to get harder and harder. It is important to be able to move from an attack. So this is definitely a bummer because there are times in the game where you just can't avoid the attack, simply because you just can't move out of the way. If you have a chance, check the game out. It's a lot of fun. It's easy to pick up and just play. But my question is, why wasn't it released outside of Japan? I think this is one of the most underrated beat 'em up games from the SNES, Super Famicom. The games that were released at that time, because this game was released in 1995. Around that time, you had Captain Commando that went to US. Also, you had the Final Fight franchise that went from 91 to 96. Now, is this as good as Final Fight? Not really. I think the reason Final Fight wins this match is just because the controls are very smooth, and I don't know, something about the game is just appealing to me. But this is definitely a very good game and you should check it out. The last thing I want to say about this game is the time limit. The biggest problem with this game is the time limit. That's right. In some levels, I barely passed with very little time left. The last levels are the unforgivable levels. You have to really speedrun through the game to reach the end. I found myself barely beating the last level. But the bosses in the game are pretty easy to beat. They all have their patterns, and once you figure the patterns out, you will have no trouble at all. Surprisingly, the hardest boss for me to beat was the Aquaman clone. His movements were the most unpredictable. The one thing about this game is that you will need all 6 continues to reach the final level. It is a good idea to do your best and not die in the earlier levels, or else you will have an uphill battle when you get to the harder stages where you get swarmed by enemies. The final boss is very surprisingly easy. It was disappointing to face such an easy boss. What an easy boss! He can't possibly be the final boss, can he?
You're right. He's not the final boss. I am.
You?
Do you think it would be that easy? A deal is a deal. But, unfortunately for you, I don't play by the rules. Hasta la vista, baby. I always wanted to say that. Good